Federal government will continue to cooperate with states to support micro, small and medium enterprises, says Vice President Oshibajo. Nexim announces 10 billion naira export facility for women and youth. Oil prices gain on expectations. OPEC Plus will keep lead on output. Plus, Asia-Pacific markets mostly decline. China says its factory activity expanded in March. Focus of our discussion is on decade of gas, master plan and sufficiency. This is Business Express reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us at a time like this. The federal government will continue to cooperate with states to support micro, small and medium enterprises. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo stated this at the 27th Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic hosted by the Gombe State government. Describes the MSMEs as the engine of the nation's economy that needs to be well oiled. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
These are some of the rice and oil mills in Gombe State, visited by Vice President Yemi Oshibajo upon arrival for the 27th Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic. State Governor Inuwa Yahaya says 1,000 hectares of land is being provided for the establishment of an industrial park to serve as trade and investment hub and to complement what is being done in the promotion of MSMEs at the federal level. A move which Vice President Yemi Oshibajo applauded, stressing that this would also help generate employment.
Thus far, in the payroll support for Gombe State, we have ensured that at about 9,085 employees from close to 2,000 MSMEs in the educational sector have benefited from the scheme. Another 10,000 artisans and transporters in this state have also benefited from the scheme. Up to 6,000 new business names have been registered free of charge with the CAC from businesses that are in this state. In all, MSMEs in Gombe State have been supported by the federal government with almost 1.2 billion naira under the Economic Sustainability Plan. And there is more to come.
And with testimonies that the survival fund that the federal government is disbursing to assist small businesses, Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagun, says government is committed to lifting the people out of poverty.
These MSMEs clinics provide a single point of access that can improve long-term potential for inclusive growth for businesses to achieve success, with special focus on youth and women as economic actors of change.
More importantly, it will help our small and medium-scale businesses in areas of improving access to finance, business registration, access to market, skills acquisition, and compliance with regulatory requirements.
It's a glorious outing here in Gombe, and for the people who proud themselves as the jewel in the savannah. Having the Vice President here in the state really is a great booster.
The Nigerian government says the Japanese government is offering to donate the sum of $18.2 million to improve the Nigerian healthcare sector. Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Clem Agba, said this during an assessment visit over the utilization of the 49 billion intervention fund disbursed by the federal government to 52 federal health institutions at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital. The minister explained that the 49 billion naira released for healthcare during the pandemic came as a necessity to equip hospitals and build up to-date infrastructure in this sector, including 10-bedded intensive care unit, isolation center equipment, and personal protective equipment, among others. The Africa Export-Import Bank, Afri-Exim Bank, is partnering the Nigerian Export-Import Bank, that's the Exim Bank, to mobilize $50 million project preparation fund for Nigeria to provide technical assistance to bankable small and medium enterprises, including those promoted by women and youth, in a bid to consolidate on economic recovery process.
Nigeria recognizes that women's economic empowerment is not only important in its own right, but it is also smart economics, with the potential to bring about broad-based growth and poverty alleviation at the national level and state level.
Under this partnership, we wish to mobilize up to $50 million towards providing technical assistance to increase pipeline of bankable projects, particularly from SMEs, where the women and youth have their business.
Nigeria is to unleash her enormous gas potentials towards uplifting the economy and driving industrialization as the next logical pathway to the nation's glorious future. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this at the formal launch of Decade of Gas in Nigeria. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
The official launch of the Decade of Gas in Nigeria sets the tone for what could best be described as a revolution in the critical subsector of the nation's economy. It demonstrates the resolve by the Buhari presidency to effectively develop and utilize gas as a national priority to, amongst others, stimulate economic growth, improve Nigeria's energy mix, drive investments, and provide the much-needed jobs for the teeming citizens of the country.
I can assure you that President Muhammadu Buhari has the political will to surmount the challenges and continue in a determined pursuit of transforming Nigeria into a gas-based industrialized nation.
We are grateful to the Excellency Mr. President for the continued support and interest in the National Nigerian Gas Expansion Program and other initiatives geared towards greater gas monetization and utilization in our country.
For President Muhammadu Buhari, it is seemingly absurd or even contradictory that Nigeria, as more of a gas nation, focused on oil over the years, hence the more proactive push towards gas development by his administration.
We acknowledge that Nigeria has still more work to do in the gas space. Gas has enormous potential to diversify and uplift Nigeria's economy for the good of the country. We intend to seize this opportunity. Our major objective for gas sector is to transform Nigeria into an industrialized nation with gas playing a major role through enhanced accelerated gas revolution.
Already, he said, remarkable progress has been made towards achieving the objectives, including developing gas infrastructure, promoting domestic gas utilization, commencing the process of commercializing gas flares, development of industrial and transport gas markets, as well as increasing gas to power.
Joining me to discuss further on the gas master plan and sufficiency is an energy expert, Mr. Ed Ubong. You're welcome to Business Express.
Good afternoon.
Well, Mr. Ubong is not alone. I have also with me here Olabode Sonwumi. It's a pleasure to have you here again.
The pleasure is mine. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Well, let me start with you, sir. There has been this gas master plan long before now. And just a few days ago, Mr. President launched the Decade of Gas. What does that mean to us as a people? What does that mean to energy? What does that mean to the discussions on energy transition?
Thank you. I think the reality is that when you look back in Nigeria, the gas master plan has got us to where we are today. But also, if you look globally, the world is in an energy transition where we're now sort of moving a lot away from fossil-based fuels to non-fossil-based fuels. For Nigeria to be able to sort of go into that transition mode, it means that the key thing we need to do is to accelerate our cleanest fossil fuel. In this case, it is gas. And to put it in perspective, with the amount of resource base that we have in Nigeria, if we were to sort of continue our production at the same levels, it would take us about 300 years to fully produce a gas. But the world does not have 300 years of gas. We have very limited time to bring that gas to the surface. We have very limited time to make that gas impact the lives of Nigerians. We have very limited time to ensure that this gas goes into power. It goes into industries. It goes into gas-based industries and create employment and create jobs and ensure that the economy itself sort of is fully revived. And I think that's the key focus you've seen in Mr. President's announcement. A decade of gas, it's an indication that this is the time that we must all join hands across various stakeholder groups to see what we need to do to sort of cause a gas revolution to kick off in an accelerated manner. As
okay,
you well know, sorry.
Okay, I'll get back to you. Mr. Olabode, you heard him. He said we have limited time to bring all these resources to play, to utilize these enormous resources we have. Would you say we came to the party late, or is it the right time? This is something we've had in abundance for so many years before now. At some point, I knew our gas resource base was up to, we're like top 2, top 3 in the world. We're now drifted. Where are we? And from this pronouncement of the decade of gas, where should we be moving to? And how fast, considering him talking about the limitation of time? Yeah. I don't know whether you agree with him.
I think irrespective of focusing on whether we came early or late to the party, the attention should be on what should we do now in the realities of the time.
Sure.
Because we can spend a lot of time looking at what should have been done, and then we are lost in the past. So when you look, looking at what he said with respect to the gas master plan, it basically formed the structure, the substratum for which government used to get us to where we are. And if you look at it, they focused on the development of pipelines, infrastructure. They also had policies which focused on gas to power, which currently uses close to 70 to 75% of the gas. Then there's gas-based industries, the methanol, steel, and the related fertilizer, which has the capacity to create a lot of employment. There are also a lot of cottage factories who use certain equipment, boilers and co, which are related to gas, which can help industry go through. If you look at a small model, you actually have the capacity that every state in Nigeria can have an industrial park, a group of small industries. So what that means is that every state can start to generate income outside of what they get from the federal executives. The importance of that is that it's going to reduce urban rural migration. Basically, if you are from Potiskum and you suddenly find out that there are like 10 to 20 industries within that area, and you can do some business with them that can give you a turnover of 20-50 million a year, you may want to consider your being in Lagos or being in Abuja, and that will actually lead to even development. So it speaks to what the president has said with respect to the fact that it's an opportunity to industrialize. But more importantly, it speaks to us as a people as something that can usher in certain level of development for us. So rather than get lost in the rhetoric and all that, let us get our hands dirty and get our feet on the ground. In getting our hands dirty...
Okay, away from the rhetorics, I'll get back to you on how to get our hands dirty. Mr. Ed, he talked about the employment opportunities we have in this decade with the initiative that has been launched. Talking about interventions, where should government come in now to actually intervene for us to breach this timeliness, this limitedness of time that we have on this particular project?
Thank you. I think it's key, and I would talk about what I call the short-term actions. The Nigerian Gas Association is an association of all the stakeholders that play in the gas value chain, mostly private sector investors. And there, what we need as a country at the moment is to put to bed what I call the key regulations that would cause the gas revolution to start. And I mean, two key activities are ongoing at the moment. The first one is the PIB. The second one is the gas pricing work, which is being led by the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum. This is already moving very rapidly, and we in the industry, we are confident that this would be landed soon, because it's that clarity of what the fiscals are that will convince investors to begin to put in all the effort and all the energy they need now to ensure that we can deliver the goals of the decade of gas.
Well, we're looking forward to the passing to law of the PIB, which promises to be a game changer. Aside the PIB, how else can we get our hands dirty, like you were saying earlier?
I think when you looked at what the government did with respect to the AKK, which is basically about the biggest gas pipeline we have in terms of its size, you realize that I think it was the governor of Kaduna State who made a plan for an industrial park and submitted it to the CEO's office, basically saying that this is what we want to do to revive the textiles and bring in new industry. So every single state where the pipeline passes through, whether it is Kogi, even supporting states like Benue,
Niger,
Kwara, every one of them has an opportunity to take advantage of that, start up with plans, get people who are interested in the states, get people who are from the states, get people who are abroad, and let them start to do something. Because you see, it is in the doing. It is just simply in the doing. So the government, where the state government now sets up the plan, sets up the infrastructure, and then they advertise it, they woo people, they talk about it, they get attention to it, and then people now start to act. Because even in the process of acting, you start to ignite small industries. Where our research industry, data gathering, is poor. It's still a needed industry. We're in the knowledge age, so we need people who will get some of these data that is going to come from business plans, it's going to come from market research. So a lot needs to be done. The important thing is that we should put the spotlight on those critical government areas who are going to ignite it, and then the spirit of the entrepreneur can now come into some of those days to make it active.
Okay, talking about the spotlight he mentioned, there is the Auto Gas Initiative. Where are we on it?
I think there's been a lot of efforts to sort of properly frame the Autogas project, and I'm sure you've seen the minister hold sort of state by state roadshows just to start that project. But at the end of the day, that project rides upon what I spoke about, the pricing regulation. Because that is what then assures you that when you switch from gas to autogas, it's clear what your gains are as an investor, and that this would work. And the industry is waiting. I mean, like I said before, we are excited at the gas focus that Nigeria has at the moment. I mean, if you listen to the International Gas Union president when he spoke last, gas can allow Nigeria to meet 9 of the 17 SDG goals. And I think where the real focus then for us is autogas will come, and it will be a mass effort. But let's get the key levers around regulations right. What else do we need to do? We need to begin to retool. Nigeria has been an oil basin in terms of its actual operations. We now need to retool all professionals on the gas value chain. True. And more importantly, for the young graduates, the people coming out in the system, they now need to begin also to refocus on building capacity around gas. And here as an industry, we look at collaborating with associations like the PTDF, who is tasked with building capacity, the NCDMB, who is also working on building capacity across the
Nigerian content developers.
The NCDMB. Yeah. So these for us as the Nigerian Gas Association are key partners who would sort of work with us and then see how we can rapidly build the capacity that would support this industry that we are rapidly scaling up.
You talked about the industry is waiting. Where are we on implementation of the Nigeria Gas Flare Commercialization Program?
I think there's been a lot of progress. I mean, Justice Zerefaka, who is the program manager, spoke earlier this week on where he has shortlisted companies, and we continue to watch what the next step would be. But I think one of the key things, like I always say, is in Nigeria we always need to take time to do the right thing. And I know sometimes there's a sense that we need to hurry. But I also say let's take the time, get it right, and I think there is an opportunity for us here to get it right and ensure that we reap the full benefits of this fantastic resource that God has given us.
While we wait for the PIB, what is it bringing on the table? Quickly.
What is
PIB bringing on the table?
PIB is going to, like they say, tabula rasa. It's going to change the game. Basically, it's going to put structures to where structures doesn't exist. It's going to ensure that there's a proper regulator. One of the things bedeviling the industry most, that is the lack of a clear regulator. And it's simple. NMPC has quasi-regulatory powers, the DPRs has regulatory powers, the ministry has regulatory powers. So when certain things happen, you begin to wonder who is actually responsible. And the implication of that is underdevelopment in the industry. A simple example is the power sector. If there's an electrocution now, the NEC, which is the National Electricity Regulatory Commission, has a process that is well spelled out, which involves investigation of the parties involved, investigations of the discourse, a panel is set up, the families are contacted, and at the end of each quarter, such report is made available to the National Assembly. If there is a domestic cylinder gas explosion now, nobody really knows what the regulatory process is.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Olabode Sanwo-Ome, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular time. Mr. Ed Ubong, this is the first time we're having you on the program. We hope to have you again and again and again. We'll keep discussing these issues.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, moving on, let's see how the commodity market is faring this Wednesday. Moving on to news at the Nigerian Stock Exchange market. The market dipped today at the end of transaction with minus 0.57%. The all-share index ended at 39,045.13 basis points. Deals that exchange hands with investors is 3,990, and the volume of shares that exchange hands at the stock market today is also 347.1 million, valued at 2.8 billion naira. Market capitalization was pegged at 20.4 trillion naira. On the top trades, we have Wema Bank with 94 million volume of shares valued at 53.3 million naira, followed by UBN on the second spot with 78.9 million volume of shares valued at 418.2 million naira, and on the third spot is Zenith Bank with 22.1 million volume of shares valued at 500.2 million naira. Global market is next with Bosede Ebo.
On the global scene, shares in Asia Pacific mostly declined on Wednesday as official data showed China's factory activity growing in March. In Japan, the Nikkei shed 0.86% to close at 29,178.8, while mainland Chinese stocks were lower by the afternoon, with the Shanghai Composite down 0.43% to 3,441.91. Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong dipped about 0.7% as of its final hour of trading. European stocks traded in mixed territory Wednesday, reflecting sentiment in Asia Pacific and US markets. The mix opened for European markets came as other markets showed similar lackluster direction overnight. US stock futures were little change early Wednesday after the Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped from its record level amid fears about rising interest rates. Futures tied to the Dow Dow Jones Industrial Average implied an opening loss of about 45 points. S&P 500 futures were also flat, while Nasdaq 100 futures traded in marginally positive territory. For Africa, Ghana's GSE Composite posted gains, while the rest of the stocks were in negative territory. Boss Today Able, Business Express.
Let's now see how the Naira is faring against other currencies. With that, we come to the end of Business Express for today. Remember to keep in touch with us by sending your comments, observations, and suggestions via our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. And the hashtag is BizX. All previous episodes of the program are also available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Be safe out there.